Now, you have just heard the argument for Jinhsi based on her mechanics, but I'll give you two massive reasons why ChangLi is worth it. Hey everyone, TimaeuSS here and welcome to another Wuthering Waves video. With the introduction of patch 1.1, we now have the ability to pull two new limited characters, and starting us off of course is the new DPS queen, Jinhsi. Our white-haired magistrate is absolutely dominating in terms of her DPS as well as the tier list rankings because she can do upwards of 4,000%. That's right, 4,000% and damage multiplier in the span of 1 second if you consume a max energy dragon laser resonance skill into a resonance liberation. Her damage output is absolutely crazy. Of course, she has a lot of built-in mechanics that just makes her even better and really easy to use. So a lot of people have pulled for her and definitely have not regretted their choice. However, in this video, we'll cover the other characters as well because in the second half, we'll have access to ChangLi. And let me tell you, the design and the amount of detail that went into this character, chef's kiss. I think this is probably one of the best looking characters in any games I've played, and looking at some of the in-game cutscenes, I mean, I'm personally sold. So as a free-to-play player though, you might not have the opportunity to get both characters and also have savings left for future characters. So in this video, hopefully I'll go over those two characters along with what is to come in the future to help you make a decision. But my goodness, ChangLi in this sense, her outfit, her design, and the fact that it is dynamic, absolutely gorgeous. But as for the future, you know, a lot of people have been waiting for their waifu Camellya. So without further ado, let's go over our decision making tree and which one we should be saving for. Now let's get started with Jinhsi first, and we're going to approach this from a mechanics as well as future viability point of view. But if you want to see a complete breakdown, build analysis, and the team guide video, I have one as well based on the CM Bros on my channel. So please, I really advise you to check that out. But if you have seen the video and you want to skip ahead to ChangLi, for example, you can go ahead and swipe to the next chapter because this video on YouTube will be chaptered. Now go back to Jinhsi for now. So taking a look at her internal mechanics, and not only does she have a 4,000% multiplier in a span of a 1 second time frame because her max fully stacked dragon laser into resonance liberation is more than 4,000%. She also has access to some, I would say almost in a way, power crept mechanics. So first of all, she has this combo or intro into enhanced resonance skill application where your resonance skill will light up every time you use a 4-hit combo from your basics, or if you intro in. This basically allows you to go into midair and you will start your aerial combat, and this will be enhanced basic attack after you enter this midair state. Now this is really cool because for a lot of you that may not know this combo cannot be interrupted, in the sense that if you attack 2 times, right, and if you get hit, you get interrupted, or if you dodge, you don't go back and reset to the first sequence of the basic attack. You go straight into whichever sequence you have been using, and even quick swapping does not stop that sequence either, which is absolutely insane and really good quality of life. And now once you're in mid-air, you have this vertical leverage between you and most of the enemies, as it will make it harder for the enemies to hit you, and your attacks become a bit more ranged, even though she's a sword user, in the sense that you now have a greater distance between you and the enemy in terms of getting the parries right, and her animation is great, and her hitbox is awesome as well for parrying. But you keep this distance, and also you have the ability to dodge in midair against some of the key timing or attacks from the enemy. So all of this with the aerial combat and the combo system has already cemented her place in terms of a mechanical point of view of being a really well built character. Now that's not all, because she has more. That's right, she has this skill where after you use your dragon laser, you'll get a free intro outro every 25 seconds. This is fantastic because you know, intro outro, as we've seen, relies on the forte gauge for everyone right now, but Jinhsi gets a free one and it doesn't consume your forte gauge. So basically you can use it every 25 seconds, and once the forte gauge is full, you can swap out. This effectively almost is about 1.6 1.7 times your intro and outro frequency just because of how she gets this free one every 25 seconds, which is really awesome, really good. And to top it all off, she has an internal kit that basically helps her with her future viability. If we take a look at how she gains that energy above her HP, right, it's every 3 seconds a certain attribute, it can be different attributes, as long as an attribute or elemental damage hits the enemy, you will gain 1 energy every 3 seconds. And of course, if it's a coordinated attack like from the Mort one or from Yingling in the back, then you gain even more energy off of that. Now, we don't have a lot of choices at the moment for coordinated attack, but this means that in the future, once we get more coordinated attack characters, she will be a fantastic burst DPS. And of course, her outro even makes it a bit stronger in the sense that instead of every 3 seconds, it's every 1 second. And since she gets free intro outros, this will trigger a lot, so making her energy gain in the back crazy good. Okay, so this is quite important. And then not only right now you can use her as kind of the forefront or the DPS that's on the field a bit more. Later on, as we get more characters that give you coordinated attacks, you can decrease her on-field time without sacrificing too much. So this is a really well-built character in general, and why she is meta, and I think will be fantastic for the next coming patches, and why I think most people actually, after pulling for her, realize how good and how easy she is to play and how well she fits across various teams. Now, you have just heard the argument for Jinhsi based on her mechanics, but I'll give you 2 massive reasons why ChangLi is worth it. Alright, jokes aside, okay, ChangLi is currently available in-game for everyone to try, but it's not through the usual trial system. It's just from completing the main storyline. As you progress through the new storyline in patch 1.1, you'll come across this story boss, the Truth Seeker's Pass, and this is the Luminous Scale construct where you can trial ChangLi as well as Jinhsi. So in my honest opinion, as a player, if you're deciding between the two characters, not based on meta, but based on how they play or the character design, this is the place to make your decision. Just be careful you don't defeat the boss. You can walk out, okay, to reset the boss, but if you defeat the boss, then you cannot go back and try these two beautiful characters again. So in this video, let's go over ChangLi's mechanic, and we can also see that her skill description as well as her weapon are basically in game at the moment, alongside her sequence notes, which I think will be the main issue with ChangLi. But let's get started with the mechanics. Now you can see here that her base attacks, this is a 5-hit combo, which is very similar in the sense that the last hit is the most important one. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This last hit, that is a slamming attack, is very important, as it gains the energy or the charge at the bottom, and you have maximum of 4 charges, and that changes how you play the character, and is a very crucial and key component of ChangLi's kit. You also have your resonance skill that also at the very end, if you follow with the basic attack, just jumps straight into the 5th sequence, because you can see the basic attack goes like this, 4 attacks into a slam, and then your resonance skill, if you follow it up, you go into the slam right away. So this is very cool. And you also have an aerial combat attack where you're in the air for a lot of time, and then you come down with a slamming attack, and that will get you this charge as well. And one cool thing about this, and I think all future characters, is that although you rely on the combo, if you dodge, you actually don't reset. Okay, so I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm gonna dodge here. Okay, and then you see we jump straight into the slamming attack. Even if we go 1, 2, and then we'll go 1, oh, here we go, we'll dodge. Is he gonna spin again? Yeah, it goes straight into the sequence of where you left off. So if we go E here, and then we slam, we'll go straight into the charging attack, and that will get us the charge at the bottom. As you can see right now, we have lost some clothes. That's right, this is another insane mechanic that is coming out from ChangLi. You lose clothes as you gain more charges at the bottom. I know it's a visual representation, but my god, it turns on the neurons. So yes, this is with 3 stacks or 3 charges at the bottom, and I'll show you what she looks like at the 4th stack. This is really crazy. You can see the really attention to detail. Okay, here we go. We're at 4th stack, and we'll just get away. And we now have a blindfold on. That's right. I mean, look at this. We've got blindfold on, we've lost our jacket, and things aren't fire at the bottom too. This, I think, makes ChangLi almost must pull for me personally, because she just absolutely looks beautiful. The minuscule changes and the attention to detail makes her really, really good. Now, why do we care about the charges? It's because at max charge, you'll be able to hold for a heavy attack, and this causes an insane amount of damage. You can see this explosion, and now we have lost all the charges. Okay, this is really, really crazy, and what makes ChangLi a super, super strong and unique characters to play. So your gameplay plan is basically get as many charges as you can, either through the resonance skill or through your basic attack combinations, while avoiding the enemy attacks, because it does not interrupt. So again, we will go into the last one, we'll dodge this, and then we attack, we pick up right where we've left off, and now we have 4 stacks yet again. And this even changes how the ultimate looks. Alright, so we've got our blindfold on. Let's take a look at how the ultimate animation works with the max stack. So you can see here that the ultimate animation looks so damn good. We burn the blindfold and we still keep all of our stacks. And again, we can explode everything still for maximum damage. So another mechanic that people may not know about is the resonance skill Phoenix dive. So you can see here, normally we use our resonance skill and we follow up with an attack. Alternatively, we can also use our resonance skill, I'll show you after I dodge this one, into a spacebar, which does the Phoenix dive. And then from the spacebar, we can use a mid-air jump to gain some more distance, or we can use a mid-air attack that allows us to follow up with a ground slamming attack after the spacebar. And the Phoenix jump also gains us this charge at the bottom, so don't worry about not gaining the charge. It's just an alternative way for using combo, and you can also combo mid-air with this as well, so it's very, very cool. Alright, so everything looks pretty good so far, right? So what is the cache? Well, let's take a look at her built-in skill kit and description, because it is now officially available in games. You can see the normal attacks as well as the resonance skills will offer this true sight, and the next sequence of attack will gain this inflamement, which is the charges of the stacks above your HP. And this inflamement with this passive will gain you 5% fusion damage boost. So at max 4 stacks, you'll gain 20%, and you can consume 4 stacks of inflamement to catch or to utilize the flaming sacrifice. That's the one with the semi or the full circle attack, and this alongside the resonance liberation will increase the fusion damage bonus to ChangLi by 20%, and also she ignores 15% of the target's defense when dealing damage. So far so good. And of course she has this outro skill, which has their incoming resonators fusion damage amplified by 20%, and resonance liberation damage amplified by 25% for 10 seconds. So fusion characters right now, Encore, not bad at all for her, I guess. But looking at her intro, she basically allows herself to enter true sight coming in midair, and the next attack, of course, will get you that inflamement. So far, not too bad, isn't it? The kits will have synergies with each other, and things are looking good. But some theory crafters at the current stage have already inputted her damage calculations, and the numbers don't look that crazy at the moment. And I say that in comparison to someone like Jinhsi. Jinhsi does insane amounts of damage because of her multiplier and the ability to consume her stacks above of her HP or her energy to get that dragon laser plus resonance liberations damage to an insane amount. But for her, she doesn't have that. And as we dive deeper into the weapons and the sequence node, you'll see that if you are going to pull for ChangLi and want to utilize her to the fullest potential, better be ready to shell out some serious credits or pull currencies, because looking at this weapon, the Blazing Brilliance, it is an insane weapon. A 12% attack boost, and also the wearer, the equipper, gains a stack of the Searing Feather upon dealing damage, and this happens every 0.5 seconds. And she gains 5 stacks of this Searing Feather when she activates a resonance skill. So right off the bat, because she can cast 2 charges of the resonance skill, that's 10 stacks, right? And a plus, if you're using the combo in between, easily will reach the max stack, which is 14 stacks. And this gives 4% each stack, which means at max 14 stacks, this is a 64 20% resonance skill damage bonus. And for her, a lot of her damage, of course, the huge component of it is going to be counted as resonance skill damage. So not only does she get 12% attack, she also gains 64% resonance skill damage boost, which is very different, okay? Very different in comparison to some of the other weapons we've had so far, which is a 12% elemental attribute or damage boost, followed by usually a 48% damage typing boost, whether it be Resonance Liberation or Resonance Skill. So this 64% is already ahead of other characters, and then you gain a 12% on top of that. Although the stacks will be removed within 10 seconds after reaching the max stack to make it a bit more balanced, this is still really strong. And of course, looking at the crit damage, this is a pretty big crit damage boost coming out from the weapon as well. So in terms of stats being offered on this one weapon, it's almost like a huge chunk of her kit is from the weapon alone to get those stat boosts. Now looking at the sequence notes, and the reason why I say in similarity to the weapon this will be an issue is because her sequence nodes look too damn good. Now starting at sequence 1, the resonance skill and heavy attack will increase the damage dealt by her for 10% and also gain resistance to interruption. Now if you're really skilled, okay, you can dodge all the incoming attacks, and because ChangLi, her combos will not get interrupted by the dodges, you can continue where you left off. But if you've got skill issues like me, okay, you get interrupted. If this resistance skill on S1, which I'll test at release, if that allows you to negate enemy interrupts so you can just keep comboing away, doesn't matter what they throw at you, this is absolutely insane. Because what you can do, instead of being a burst, semi-burst DPS, which is I think will be how she gets played, you use your 2 resonance skill charges to get out, right? But instead of that, you can technically have her on the field and just basic attack, resonance skill, and then get your 4 stacks as soon as possible and get out and wait for the next intro. Because you can use 2 sets of resonance skills, 1 set of basic attack into those basically 3 stacks of enflammement, and you'll get 1 from the intro, and that grants you 4 stacks for the sacrificing flame. And this interruption, even though it may not look significant in the eyes of players that are really skilled, in a boss fight or in a multiple enemy combat where they have interrupts, this, if it's true resistance, is going to be bonkers. And of course it's hidden behind a sequence node, which makes it a bit more difficult. Now you also have the second S2, which is, I mean, a 25% crit rate from enflammement. I mean, I'm sure this is not per stack, right? Because this would be so crazy. But as long as she get 1 stack, which is either via an intro or 1 resonance skill into a basic follow-up attack, you will get a 25% crit rate for 8 seconds. So from these 2 sequence nodes, you can already see how inflated the stats are going to be and the damage coming out. And we've got S3, which is the radiance of the fealty damage is increased by 80%. So this is your Resonance Liberation, your ultimate. And also after your intros cat, as for all team members, damage is increased by 20% for 30 seconds. So this is a quite long 30-second buff of 20% attack. And this will have, of course, future viability because you're buffing the entire team for 30 seconds, and regardless of swapping or not. And then your S5 heavy attack is increased by a further 50%, and its damage dealt is increased by another 50%. So this is a significant damage boost to the Flaming Sacrifice that consumes all 4 stacks. And last but certainly not least, the S6. The heavy attack, the resonance skill, as well as the resonance liberation, okay, so your key damage output ignores 40% of the target's defense when dealing damage. So as you can see from the previous skill, we already know here, right, you gain 15% defense ignoration, you ignore 15% of the target's defense with your heavy attack and your resonance liberation, but this adds another 40% and also gives your resonance skill 40% defense ignore. So as the bosses are going to scale later on and getting more defense, this is only going to be better and better. And this, I think, is the problem with ChangLi at the moment, is that her skill kit mechanics, let's start with the mechanics, is really good. Her mechanics is amazing, but the cost of getting her plus her weapon and potentially S1 or even S2 is gonna be very, very costly. And in this video, hopefully I've covered, the choices between having just a base copy of Jinhsi and doing massive amounts of damage versus pulling almost, getting a huge boost out of multiple copies of ChangLi and her weapon. So yes, these are the current two characters for version 1.1, okay, between, of course, our beloved Jinhsi and ChangLi. But wait, there is one more contestant in this video. So you've decided to skip Jinhsi as well as ChangLi. What are you waiting for? Well, that's right, I know a few people are skipping the entirety of version 1.1 for Camellya. That's right, this character is truly unique in the sense that their first appearance definitely caught most of our attention. And I think she'll be the one that will be available for us in version 1.2 because you know what, our previous patches were pushed ahead and they know Yingling made bank, and of course now Jinhsi and ChangLi are very, very popular, and Camellya, being the top tier waifu she is definitely going to make a lot of money for Kuro. So I expect her to be joining us for patch 1.2. Now in terms of the information that's currently available, we don't know what typing she is, but based on the outfit, I would guess she is either another fusion or Havoc. Okay, those are the two typings. And in terms of her capabilities, potentially a DPS role, and this is why I wanted to make this video, is because out of the three, you pretty much should pick only one or at most two. Unless you're a waifu lover, you've got the ability to grab all of them, go ahead. But for most free-to-play players, you probably can only choose between a couple, right? You can't have them all without spending, unfortunately. So Camellya, if she is going to be a damage dealer, then your choices are very, very limited, because if you played other gacha games, the one character that really lasts throughout various patches are going to be the supports. That's right, I bet you in the next 5 to 6 patches, Verena will still be a tier 1 character. Okay, that's why supports are so strong in the game, is because every single team will need a support. You're going to release really powerful characters that are main DPS or burst DPS, and you're going to swap them out as they get power crept. But supports are what enable the team, instead of having DPS that just does more and more. Supports, especially those that are not on the field for a lot. For example, right now Verena can activate a max intro fully buffed main DPS character in just about 5 to 6 seconds, right, in the initial sequence for the Towers of Adversity, for example. So this is really, really valuable, and personally for me, I think a character like that, potentially one in the future, will be very, very important. But for now, the 3 characters across the version 1.1 patch and later on potentially Camellya, they're most likely going to be a DPS character. So you don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket and shell out 3 main DPS. I mean, you could, because we ultimately need at least 6, right, across the 3 tower teams. But you might want to save. So you want to pick either one, if not 2, out of the 3 currently. But anyhow, hopefully this video has helped you understand what Jinhsi and most importantly ChangLi is all about with the new trials, and help you make a decision on whether or not you'll be pulling or skipping either of these characters and then going for a character like Camellya in the future. But until then, it is a single player game. Of course, you can pull all of them or none of them, you still will not have issues with progression, as everything you'll be able to pass with time, with levels and all that. So choose wisely, and it's TimaeuSS here. Thank you guys for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye now.